Episodes of pain, known as a sickle cell crisis, are one of the most common and distressing symptoms of sickle cell disease. They happen when blood vessels to part of the body become blocked. The pain can be severe and last for up to 7 days on average. But how do I get from this to this? It's not always clear what triggers a crisis, but in this video I will explain a few triggers which trigger me and a few of my fellow warriors. Hi and welcome back to Sickle Cell Sundays. This video I wanted to explain some different triggers of a sickle cell crisis. Just wanted you to remember that each individual is very different and what might trigger me might not trigger somebody else. But yeah, hope you enjoy this video. So my first trigger I wanted to talk about is exercising, and to be more specific, I mean strenuous exercising. Actually, for me it's just any kind of exercising, but for others it'd probably be strenuous exercising because I barely do any exercise at all. I've just never really done any exercise. Even at school, I barely participated in PE because I was just always in some kind of pain. It always triggered like a tummy crisis or a chest crisis. I was sort of out of breath. So it was just something that I've just not continued doing, which is probably really bad because exercising is very beneficial for those living with sickle cell. And it will help so much with my stamina and just my overall health in general because I'm extremely unfit. But yeah, I think it's just the fact that I'm scared that it will cause some kind of pain, which is why I don't do any exercising. I know lots of sickle cell warriors that do exercise and they train and they find it absolutely amazing and they feel like it's absolutely helped them. So I probably should start off small and build myself up that way to help prevent a crisis. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I like a bit of skipping and stuff like that, so maybe I can start with that. But yeah, if anyone knows any tips of how I can maybe start off exercising and building myself up, but also concentrating on my weight because I'm quite small, so I don't want to lose any more weight, let me know. Hopefully I will try and I will give it a go. But yeah. So alcohol is a trigger for me, and it is a trigger for lots of other sickle cell warriors because it causes dehydration, which is not good at all. It's very important that if we do drink, we are to keep hydrated at the same time. So I never used to drink at all. I think it was the fact that it was installed in me since young by my mum that if I drank I would get sick, so I just always associated alcohol negatively with like pain. So I was pretty much scared of alcohol. Like I was actually scared. Like I used to think if I took a sip I would end up in hospital, but I realized that that was not the case maybe in like 3rd year of uni, where I maybe had a bit of a drink, a little cocktail, maybe a shot, a sip of alcohol, and I thought, okay, I'm all right. And then I graduated uni, I started making a bit of money, going on girls' holidays, went to places like Ibiza, Croatia, Portugal, and yeah, I started to drink a little bit more.
All day we drinking and we don't need no chaser. Rum in our system, I'm a professional.
I learned the hard way that alcohol does cause pain. I spoke to my nurse about it because I told her that I was quite scared about drinking, and she was like, no, it's absolutely fine, you can drink just as long as you remain hydrated. So she gave me an example of like, if I took a shot of vodka, I should take a shot of water at, I don't know if it was at the same time or one after the other, but it doesn't work. But I think it was just an example because it doesn't work. You forget. I end up forgetting. But as long as I remember to have maybe like a water bottle besides me, or drink some water after when I go back home, then hopefully I should be all right. But my main problem is that I forget, and then I end up falling asleep. And then I wake up in absolute agony because I'm so dehydrated and it's caused a crisis. So yeah, I'd rather stay away from alcohol, to be honest. It doesn't even taste that nice to me anyways. I can have a good time without it. So yeah, alcohol, that is a trigger for me. Stay hydrated, kids. Which brings me on to hydration. Hydration is so important, like it's unreal. It helps promote blood flow, it helps prevent sickle cells from sickling, which means turning into that kind of crescent moon shape, and it also helps prevent sickle cells from sticking together and clumping up blood vessels. So it's super important to remain hydrated. If you are a sickle cell warrior, you've probably been told by many health professionals, you must drink plenty of fluids, blah, 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 blah. It gets super annoying, but it's so important. I mean, I don't drink a lot of water at all. I actually don't drink water. Yeah. It's just something that I don't like, which is so bad. I get told all the time by my mum, my sister, that I must drink lots more water, but I just don't like it. Like, I don't like the taste. People say water is tasteless, but water does have a taste, and I'm just not a fan, to be honest. But I need to force myself to drink lots more water. I get my hydration through maybe like a lot of juice. I like squash, and I drink a lot of tea, which I feel like that helps with my hydration, but I do need to drink water. It's so important. Even when you go into hospital and you get admitted, the first thing they try and do is hydrate you, just in case your crisis was caused by dehydration. I remember when I was younger, they used to make me drink a whole jug of squash, and I'd be like so happy that I finally finished a jug. They'd be praising me, yay, go on girl, and then they'll bring another one and I'm like, no, because it just gets too much. It gets too much. You feel like you're literally overflowing in water. It's not nice, but it's so important. It prevents so many crises, and it's pretty much the same for all sickle cell warriors. Most of our crises are caused by dehydration, so it's so important to remain hydrated. So the next trigger I wanted to talk about is stress. Stress is such a big trigger for me. It is definitely in one of my top 3 triggers of causing a crisis. Stress, I try and avoid all types of stress, but it's so much easier said than done, because stress can come from literally anywhere, any angle. Life just throws it at you. I mean, if it's not work stress, it's relationship stress, or if it's not relationship stress, it's family stress, or just like anything, everything. Right now it's COVID stress. Right now it's the stress from systemic racism. Like, there's just so much that goes on in life. Like, it's really hard to avoid stress, but I really do try my best. If I do feel stressed, I'll try and just keep to myself or walk away, or like just anything. Even if I have to sleep, I'll try and sleep just to avoid stress, because I know it will cause some kind of pain for me. Stress causes a crisis, just because it can reduce blood flow in blood vessels, and it can cause blood vessels to constrict. So that is why it can cause a trigger. That is why it can cause a crisis. It's so much, like, I just don't even know, with stress. Like, it's just something that sickle cell warriors should try and avoid, just because it can make you really ill. And I've definitely ended up in hospital from a crisis because I've been too stressed. If you know me, you know that I don't like to be stressed. I'm very chilled, and if I do feel stressed, I will try and walk away and avoid the situation. So another trigger for me is the weather, or weather change, which is really annoying. So that means that I can't get too hot.
Take it out, take it out, take it out, take it out. It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes.
Or I can't get too cold. Nah, I need to get my hair done because my head is cold. My head is cold. My ears are cold, which is quite hard to find that middle ground. During the summer, your hematology usually sends out letters to sickle cell warriors saying that we should probably try and avoid going out between the times of like 12 and maybe 3, which is like the hottest period of the day, just so we can prevent a sickle cell crisis from happening, just because it's so hot and it can cause dehydration sometimes as well. Also, if it's too cold, that can cause a crisis because our blood vessels constrict to try and keep us warm, and then that just makes it harder for sickle cells to pass through blood vessels. So it's not ideal. In the winter time, I need to make sure I'm fully wrapped up. Everyone knows me, I'm always cold anyway, so I'm always like wrapped up or in a jumper or wearing some kind of layers. If I was to go out, I'll always make sure that I bring some kind of like spare top or spare jacket, either in my car or in my bag, just to keep prepared, just in case it does get really cold. I mean, you can't trust the weather in the UK anyways, so it's so important to keep and stay prepared for these kind of stuff. And in terms of weather change, so if I was to go on holiday, for example, I come from like a cold area, which is the UK, and then if I go to a sunny destination, that sudden weather change usually puts me into a crisis. So the first day I'm always in some kind of pain. I usually have like a tummy crisis, so it's really annoying because I can't really do much on the first day of holiday, just kind of rest, because I'm taking painkillers, and then that makes me feel sick, and it's just really annoying, to be honest, that all this stuff I need to think about. So I can't be too hot, can't be too cold. Need to try and find that middle ground. So my next trigger that I wanted to talk about is high altitudes. If you know me, you know that I love to travel. I just want to travel the world. So this trigger is probably one of the most annoying to me because it really is an obstacle sometimes. High altitudes can cause a crisis just because of the low oxygen concentration up in the air. So it's so important when you do go on holiday, if you are a sickle cell warrior, that firstly you have all your pain medication on you in your hand luggage, and you also have a drink on you. So once you get through customs, make sure you buy a drink, because if you do have pain or you do end up in a crisis on a plane, waiting for the air hostess to bring you a drink is just not ideal. You don't know how long they might take, so as long as you are prepared, you should be okay. I've had a crisis on a plane before, and it's not nice whatsoever. It's really scary. You feel so hopeless and helpless up there. Like, there's nothing really much you can do. You have to just try and manage with your pain relief, which is why it's so important also who you travel with. I need to make sure that I travel with people who know me, who know how to help me, just in case something like that was to happen. Even though there isn't really much you can do from up on a plane, just that emotional support is good enough, and it can make the world's difference. So yeah, high altitude is a big trigger. I need to also make sure that if I was to do like a long journey, maybe try and book like a layover to take some time out and just come back to like ground and walk around a little bit. Also, if I do a long journey, I probably should contact my doctor as well, just to make sure that if I do need oxygen on the plane to help me through, just because the journey is really long and I wouldn't want anything to happen to me. So yeah, high altitude is a big trigger for me. It's really annoying and it's really scary. But you get through, it's fine, you get through. And sometimes you're on a plane and nothing happens, you have the best flight, you're having fun with your friends, but then there is that odd time that you might have a crisis, so it's always good to be prepared. But yeah, overall, those are probably my main triggers, but there's so many different types of triggers for a sickle cell crisis. Sometimes you really don't even know what causes your crisis, but you're in hospital or you're having some type of pain at home, and you try and think to yourself, what could it have been? What could it have been? And you generally don't even know, which just makes sickle cell like so much more complicated, because you don't even know how to prevent it. Sometimes it just happens. You feel like it happens for no reason whatsoever. And everyone, like I said at the beginning of the video, is very different. What might trigger me might not trigger someone else. So that as well makes sickle cell also very complicated, because not everyone is the same, which just makes it harder for treatment and stuff like that. But there are a few different types of triggers. So another trigger that might affect me, like sometimes having a shower, is that crazy. Like I'd be in the shower and all of a sudden I have a tummy crisis and I have to get out because I need to sit down, or my chest is hurting and I need to catch my breath, so I need to get out quicker than I anticipated, because I just can't even cope in the shower. I don't even know if it's because the water's too hot or because I'm standing up. I literally don't even know what the problem is, but most of the time I will probably have a crisis in the shower, which is really annoying, especially when you're in a rush and you have to take time out to sit down. But for some people, pregnancy is a trigger. That is one thing that I'm kind of scared of, but we are closely monitored when we do plan on having a family. The whole sickle cell team will be involved, and you'll be closely monitored and have regular checkups. Smoking is also a trigger. I don't smoke, so it's not a trigger for me, but I've heard it's a trigger. Quite a few people with sickle cell actually do smoke, even though it probably should be avoided. But yeah, I'm not too sure how that would affect me. Infection is also a trigger for a sickle cell crisis. If you've ended up catching like a virus or a bacterial infection. Yeah, if I figure out any more triggers, I will try and post it on the screen, but I'm not too sure. If you do know any more triggers, or if you are a sickle cell warrior or family or friends of a sickle cell warrior and you know what might trigger them, let me know, because it could be one of my triggers and I don't even know. But yeah, hope you really enjoyed this video. Hope it was informative. Hope you have a good day. Peace, love and pure